So let's just take a moment and let's just move into ourselves in a very gentle way. Move into a place of silence, a place of gratitude, and a place of presence. Now the paradox of yoga. So let's get a hold of either a large bolster if you have it, or just a couple of pillows if you don't have the bolster. I just want to support the torso and just have either one of those nearby. And then from whatever position, if you're sitting or if you're lying down, let's just come into a simple child's pose. So whatever is most comfortable for you for child's pose, just bending forward, just feeling this first movement into any sense of resistance in your body. So just make yourself comfortable here. Just begin to try to relax. And we'll keep the thread of the opening. So lovely that we give ourselves this time to really open up this place of silence. This is the ground of our being when we really do quiet down. This is Shiva, Lord of the yoga. So opening to a sense of silence, a sense of gratitude for just having this body and having each breath, having the capacity to think and feel and grow. And just opening to this simple yet profound sense of presence, that whatever else is coming and going in our life and coming and going, we are present and we can feel this presence. This is another ground of our being. And if you haven't already, it's nice just to move your hips back and forth a little bit. And sometimes we forget that this is a rather mild forward bend. And so to ease into the left and right sides of the lumbar is often just really a nice way to begin this sort of deeper exploration of this part of the body. Good. And then from here, just come up a bit and grab either your bolster or your pillows. Either will work. When you see what we're doing with the bolster, you can replicate that with the pillows. But from the child's pose, two things. You can start to open your knees a bit. We'll do a supported frog. And I'd like you to pull your pillows or the bolster just into your midsection. So right under the rim of the rib cage. So it's going to compress a bit right into my diaphragm area. And then my legs are open, just as comfortable as you can be. So you feel like you're relaxing into the hips. And then from here, before we settle the head, just let the head go back and forth a couple of times. And you may feel, more than likely, you'll feel one side of the neck is a little looser or tighter than the other. So when you come to that looser side, then just go ahead and put your either ear on the pillow. So we're going to go to the looser side and just settle in here. Let the arms relax. Let the knees just be as, like I said, we're just opening. This is a nice hip opener. This is a nice twist into the neck. And after we relax here a bit, we'll breathe into the solar plexus and kind of feel into and receive that pressure of the bolster or the pillows into the respiratory diaphragm. But just let's relax here for a bit. Allow your breath to be very gentle. So you're really, in a way, just using the breath to become sensitive to the physicality, to the sensations. The nice thing about moving away from an active practice and moving into a quiet practice is that we don't uh, create or direct breathing techniques, but we use the breath to feel. We use the breath for sensitivity. We use the breath to bring awareness in and allow the body to relax. So this will be very, it's always very unique to where you're at in the pose, where you're at moment to moment. So whichever ear you have, whichever way you're facing, let's just bring the head up a bit. And before we go to the other side, again, just slowly left and right. And the imagery is just to lean into what you're feeling in this neck, shoulder area, upper spine area. Nice and slow. And then when you're ready, we'll just allow the head to relax to the other side. Really, the first thing that we do is we begin to relax into the physical patterns of the body. So we're getting even something simple like this, even something very relaxed, we're getting a lot of feedback, a lot of information from the body. And we can feel these, and we can begin to comprehend these as patterns. So that's the first thing. The first thing is we just relax into the physical patterns of your body. And then we create a certain receptivity for the compression. So the position itself of the body, the bolstering, the breathing is all going to motivate some compression. We do this intentionally. So we then begin to feel, receive, be receptive to the compression, and then just listen. So once again, let's bring the head up, and we can just turn it side to side once again. Just kind of feeling into all of that neck stuff. And then if you can stay here a little longer, if your hips are going to allow that, one more thing, if you need to bring the knees together and just go back into child's pose, please take care of yourself. But if you can just put your hands up on the bolster and rest the forehead on the top of your hand. So I'd like you to just relax the neck and take a few deeper, fuller breaths now into that area of the solar plexus. So compressing into the respiratory diaphragm. And I just like you to feel where the inhale breath and the compression of the diaphragm overlap. And just again, be very receptive to this. We want to loosen up this part of the body as much as we can. And then on the exhalation, let it just sort of sift out. Let the resistance, the tension, whatever you're feeling there, kind of diffuse down through the lower belly. The inhalation, we bring it in, we feel this compression into the respiratory diaphragm. The exhalation, we let that compression and any sensations of resistance just kind of diffuse through the lower body. And I would also just take a moment and really acknowledge this area of the body, this solar plexus, this third chakra area, as a very intelligent area. And when it gets tight and we hold anxiety there, it's so incredibly valuable to start to listen, to be able to listen to this area as a center of intelligence. Very, very easy to bypass because the tension can be rather vague. It's not so anatomical like some other areas, but it's certainly for most of us, there is a tightness and a weariness and a fatigue and a yearning to open up this part of the body and connect those lower chakra areas with the upper chakra areas. Okay, good. So you can just start to bring the knees together. Thank you. The hips might thank you for this. And then just allow yourself to slide forward onto the forearms. Yep. So we're going to be on the belly with the legs a little bit wider than the hips into a bit of a backward bend here. So where the head goes is really up to you. You could just leave it perfectly still and just allow yourself to be with this lumbar area. This is a lovely counter to that child's pose in terms of a backward bend, because you can relax down a bit or bring the shoulders back a bit and sort of control the amount of compression. but there's no need to keep the head perfectly still just as a matter of uh, protocol. If you want to move the head around a little bit and just feel this incredible connection between the far reaches of the upper spine and the far reaches of the lower spine. Good. And then from here, let's just draw yourself right back into where we began all this, back into a simple child's pose. And you can just do the child's pose with or without. If you want to bring that bolster back and relax on the bolster, tuck it in. I would tuck it in a little further down this time. So supported child is not totally in the solar plexus. That's so we could open the legs to open the hips. If you want to bring it right down and almost like sit on it, this is a really nice supported supported child's pose. This is just a nice pose to talk about integrating. If you are feeling feelings and a bit sensitive, and just to curl into child's pose with some support to hold on to, and just allow, just to make space for the feelings without having to judge them or figure them out. But it's a lovely pose to do that. Good. So you can just stretch out now and roll over on your back, and we'll just take a bit of a rest for this nice, gentle beginning. And um, when I talk about exploring this energy of paradox, uh, this is not just in these sort of bigger energies of good and evil or masculine and feminine. This is energy within your own body and within your own heart. So very often, and this is kind of what I was feeling. I was feeling that there was a sort of a weight or a tension of having to know something, or interestingly, having to not know something, turning the concept of not knowing into a knowing, into a technique. So either end of that polarity, when we're holding polarities in ourself as something true and solid, this can bring us out of a certain alignment. It's a form of misalignment. So the integration and the exploration of holding paradox allows that misalignment to relax and just naturally come back into alignment. It doesn't have to be either or. What you're holding in your heart, what you're holding in your mind, and also what you're holding in your body, it does not have to be either or. We can be feeling uh, lots of physical challenges and still be very healthy, or we can be very healthy and not feel physical challenges. So, how we lean into and lean away from the way that we're holding ourselves, this is something for us to explore, very, very carefully. How we're holding thoughts, how we're holding energies, how we're holding physicality, emotions. And the paradox is the willingness to not have to be right or wrong, not have to be black or white. Very beautiful. Okay, let's come on up. And again, we can use the big bolster for this, or if you don't have the big bolster, you can use some pillows. It works just as well. And I want to show you sort of two parts to this. So you may want to also have something for your head, and you may want to have something to put your hips up on if this is, especially the big bolster, if it's too severe of a backward bend when we go closer to the backward bend. So have something to sit on, have something for your head, and we're going to put either the bolster. If it's the pillows, it doesn't need to be crossways. We want to first put the shoulders. So I'm not turning this right into a backward bend. I'm just putting my shoulders on this. You may not need to sit on anything for this. So both shoulders, just so we can bring the arms up over the head. But before you do that, you're going to drape the very upper shoulders and certainly the neck and the head over this. So this is why I suggest something to support the head. You're free, feel free to dangle it if your neck can sustain that and doesn't feel injurious. But I think a little support is very nice here. So settle into this, the bolsters crossways on the right on the shoulders. Yeah, so we're not in the mid back yet. And just to show you what we're going to do at some point, we'll stay here for a while and open the shoulders. Then we're going to put the feet on the floor. If you're using pillows, you may need to adjust here and hold them and shimmy a bit. If you have the big bolster, very easy just to bring your body back, slide this into the mid back, and then make the determination if it is too severe, then sit up on this folded blanket. Yeah, so it raised my hips, and now I can go into this backward bend, and then the arms will be at the side. So that's where we're headed, but I will remind you. So let's start with the shoulders up and supported. Make sure the head is supported, relaxed back, and then just bring the arms up over the head. You may want to lightly interlock the fingers just so that arms don't spread way out. The arms spread way out and the elbows bend, not as much as a shoulder opener. So you can gently interlock the fingers, try to keep the elbows relatively straight. And then the arms, for the most part, are going to dangle in the air till they open enough till the hands touch the floor. But just to kind of drape the arms over, feel the shoulders supported. Allowing the breath to be inclusive, just very gently breathing and feeling the pure physicality of the breath. So how does it's really an intermingling. We really can't separate it, but we can be aware of it. We can be aware of it, uh, very, very subtly. That's part of why we relax and why we want to feel safe and comfortable so we can allow ourselves the the subtlety of the breath and the physicality and how they really are is so intimately woven that they're just one thing. But this is experiential, so feel this, the inhalation and the physical response, the exhalation and the physical response. Allowing gravity to settle you into your body. And this can be, very deeply relaxing and ultimately rejuvenating because we all have very uh, definite and unique relationships to gravity. Yeah, one of the primary tensions that we experience is gravity. So when we start to consciously come into the body, we want to let the gravity now settle. Let it help us relax into the body. We're no longer fighting it. We're no longer having to manipulate it. We're no longer even really dancing with it. We're just allowing it to help us settle into the body. And I would certainly invite you, as you are relaxing into this subtle interweaving of breath and body, to really see, can you tell really where that the breath ends and where does the body begin? Or where does the body end and where does the breath begin? So invite the breath into your tissues, invite the breath into your organs, invite the breath into your cells. There is no separation at a very deep level. Your body is your breath. Your breath is your body. So before we switch it up, let's just if the arms have touched the floor, if the elbows have bent, just kind of stretch the arms out intuitively. You can even bring them to the side a bit and just feel the movement, especially if you've been holding static in the shoulders. So just such a conglomeration of ligament and joint here in the shoulder girdle, so that really spend time opening it can release tension in this whole upper area. Good. And then you just relax the arms, maybe bring them to your chest or so, and put your feet on the floor. And now we're going to shift the bolster down a bit. So I suggested maybe having a blanket or a pillow to bring the hips on if you need to, but we're just going to shimmy the body up. Yeah, so now the shoulders come off of the bolster It's horizontally across now in pretty much just the mid to lower back. You don't have to put it too low. Mid is really nice. And then two things, if this again is too, doesn't feel safe, too much intensity, elevate the hips, slip something under them, uh, double check for your head, something just so the neck doesn't strain. And if you're working with the pillows, same thing. You can do exactly this with the pillows, kind of mid spine, upper lumbar area. And then just let the arms relax out to the side, straighten the legs out, and let them open a little bit past the hips. Allow your breathing to be soft and gentle and subtle. And no need to hold your focus on the breath. This is not a technique. It's just to be reminded that you are breathing, to be reminded that the breath and the body are interwoven. So part of what I began to discover in my period of integrating was that when I really stepped back and I really loosened up and let go of the attachment to my opinions and my judgments, that paradox itself can become a, you might say, a default method of communication. So when we are just in the natural unfolding of our experience of life, yes, we are experiencing life. What else can we do? That instead of having to react to our opinions and judgments and beliefs and I'm right here and da da da, if we can default to the the energy, the quality of the paradox, we can see that maybe we don't have the whole story and maybe we don't have to have resolution, that I can love someone and also be annoyed by them. And I can hold both of those. I can feel confident and intelligent, but I can also feel insecure and afraid. So not having to bring resolution, not having to know better, but also not having to contract into not knowing. And I do believe this exploration starts within our own mind and our own heart and even our own body, how we hold the body, how we think the body should be or shouldn't be. Good. So from here, and this might be a little tricky, so I want you to really check in to see how the muscles are feeling in this mid back area. But what I'm going to suggest is to put your feet on the floor and then now pull yourself in the opposite direction. So the shoulders are back on this bolstering right where we were. So if you're on a blanket or a pillow, you may want to remove it or you could leave it there. It doesn't make that much difference. And then take the arms and once again, just drape them over the head. This time I'm not going to recommend that you lightly interlock the fingers. Let the arms just kind of float. So you may even have one a little lower than the other, or you may open them a bit here. You can even have some movement just to kind of feel now, especially after the second time when they may be a little bit more responsive. So right back where we started from, we're out of the mid back into the shoulders. Good. So let's come on out of this. Uh, Good to put your feet on the floor and just roll off of this Again, just checking with the muscular tension in the shoulders and the mid upper back, using the feet as support. So we'll just roll off of this and let's lie down and take a bit of a respite. And very, very challenging to communicate and really contemplate this paradoxical energy, because the mind just wants to, or I should say the left hemisphere, the intellect, wants to grasp it conceptually, wants to turn it into something, and it's just not possible. The way that the Upanishads put it, in sort of the broadest context we can think about it, the Upanishads say that when we know ourselves as nothing, that is wisdom. When we know ourselves as everything, that is love. So in between nothing and everything, there's a lot of leeway there to explore this. And I do think that life is sort of set up, um, just the intelligence of life is set up to turn our certainty into a lesson. And I'm sure you can all relate to what I'm talking about. I mean, how many times have you been certain of something, that certainty gets all sort of rigid and many things, and then it turns out that, oh, maybe it wasn't, you weren't as certain as you thought, and then we have to relax back into, or go kicking and screaming back into uncertainty. And as that weaves into our, somatic meditation, understanding that the way that we're holding our sense of certainty, our sense of knowing, our need to control, these energies then certainly do imprint and become woven into the physical body. So the physical resistance and stiffness and whatever the limitation is always has roots in our thinking, and vice versa. Okay, so let's come on up, please. And let's open the legs out. We're going to just sit up and open the legs wide. Um, yeah, pretty much wide to your full straddle, whatever that is for you. And then maybe back off an inch or two just to let the hips relax. And we're going to come forward here, knowing that coming forward, you can always use some support if you're not coming right to the hands or the forearms or the forehead. Uh, the weight of the torso may be too much in the hips, so use whatever support, uh, what you use to just support into this forward bending. So just come forward to your capacity. The first, second layer of sensation is enough. We don't want to push or force, and just relax. This is also why what I was saying earlier about kind of reframing the experience of our and not just the body, the mind, and even the emotions in terms of misalignment and alignment. So this is more fluid. This is very different than right or wrong. This is merely different than something is dysfunctional and I need to fix it. But if we can lean into something that feels a bit out of alignment, we don't necessarily have to name it. We certainly don't have to fix it. What we can do then is we can listen to the wisdom of our intuitive intelligence, and this is key. Listen to the wisdom of our intuitive intelligence. What is it that we need to ease back into alignment? And this is our sense of flow. This is what yoga really is. And this essentially is what healing is. Because when we come back into alignment, it seems like, oh, we've healed something, but really we've just come back into alignment. And then we ease out of alignment. And if we're listening, we're paying attention, and then we are given this, interesting, unique guidance to come back into alignment. Good. So let's come up from here, if you will. And if you won't, you can just stay there. And bring first the left leg in and just bring it roughly in front of you. Uh, so this left leg can relax. And then take the right leg and take the inside of the foot. This is the half butterfly pose. So the inside of this right foot, somewhere along the inside of that extended left leg, then we'll come forward again. So this is nice to have the hands on the floor on either side, because you want to use the torso weight a little bit side to side till you feel where where maybe the lumbar is asking you to pay a little closer attention to hover into the sensations and not push or force. And again, that is why we encourage and have so many bolsters and pillows and blankets around us so we can really honor this process of moving slowly. We're not trying to do, uh, not trying to put something back into place. Again, we're not trying to fix something. If at a physical level of discomfort, you feel there's a misalignment, we need to slow down enough to listen to the guidance, to listen to the feedback of how we can, over time, with great patience, with great sensitivity, come back into alignment. It's okay to drift. It's okay to breathe. It's okay to relax. And it's certainly okay to have the experience of being in your body with a sense of effortlessness. The moment you start to feel effort creeping in, um, just check in with that. It's a delicate balance, and it really is, somatically guided. So, a little bit of effort if you're on the edge of something interesting and you're being very conscious, but if the effort has the quality of struggle or forcing, it's not even necessary. Let's arise from here, nice and slow. And I'm going to suggest we go back to putting the legs out into the straddle, but not as wide. So wherever you were in your range of motion, come in now about 6 to 8 inches. So you're still way beyond hip width, but not at your full range of motion. Yeah, and then we'll go forward again. And same thing, use whatever bolstering you need. Let everything soften. You get very interested at this first layer of sensation, and then let the body just invite you to go deeper. So part of the integrative process, so what I'm really sharing with you is how to, maybe not so much how to, but just an open invitation to explore holding opposing energies with equanimity. Yeah, so that's the foundation of leaning into paradox. That's what it is, holding opposing energies with equanimity. So the discovery that bubbles up from this, the discovery that is ultimately revealed from this, is that this is really called surrender. And the 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 discovery is that the more that we surrender, the more that we are able to sit in this centeredness with these opposing energies, the more we are held. So call it what you like, call it, divine presence or pure consciousness or life itself. The more that we are able to genuinely surrender, the more we are held by this intelligence of life. And it allows us to live our life from a joyous, celebratory place instead of a contracted, controlling, fearful place. This is an invitation of yoga. This is a niyama. This is something for us to contemplate. This surrendering to these forces, these supposed opposing forces. Good. So let's come up from here, or not. If you want to stay there, you can. And we'll bring this right leg in. So the right leg is extended, and we'll do the same thing with the left leg we did on the other side. We'll just bend it up and put it on the inside of that leg and come right back into the forward bend. Again, though, go slowly when you're about 50% of releasing your upper body weight, even whether you support it or not, just so you can find really the best angle for your body. So we're not just trying to bring the forehead straight forward, hips and shoulders. Perfectly okay to drift off to the left a bit, drift over to the right. The way that the ligaments are holding out of the pelvis and the sacrum up into the lumbar and the psoas are just beyond complicated. You don't even want to look. I tried to memorize these ligaments one time and I just got myself a big headache. Just trust me, they're tight, they're interwoven, they're complicated. Much better just to feel them. the more that we surrender, the more we are held. See if you can listen to your entire body. Let your awareness, which is unlimited, let your awareness expand. Let it permeate your bones, your joints, your organs, your tissues, your heart, your feet. Good. So let's come on up, please. So just ease yourself up, straighten out your leg, and let us lie down and take a well-deserved rest. So I just want to come into a half crescent here and just laterally flex and tug on the psoas a little bit. Uh, Maybe even continue to rest in this pose. So as you're lying flat, just keep your upper body right where it is and just walk your heels over to the right. We'll go to the right side first. So just shimmy the heels over, and we're keeping both knees straight, and we're not rolling that left hip over. So the left hip stays on the floor. The heels go as far over to make the bottom part of the crescent, and then just kind of shim your body over to the right as well to complete the crescent. And then two things you can do if you like, you can take the left ankle and cross it over the right ankle. Again, keeping the left hip down. This will tug a little bit, which is nice. And if you like, you can take the left arm, put it up over the head so the back of the hand rests on the floor. So then from the feet all the way up this left side, right through the fingers, is this lovely crescent shape. Try not to let the left shoulder roll over. Try not to let the left hip. So the weight of that left side, especially if you have the ankles crossed, will just pull and tug in different places. Some of it, obviously, it will be the psoas, but other places as well. Make sure the neck is relaxed. So just let the head find a nice place that it's not too much tension in the neck. So how does one actually integrate these energies that we're talking about and wanting to explore? Honestly, I do not really know. This is not really in the realm of self-help. What I can offer is that I think it's very valuable to slow down, whatever that means for you, and really hold a container for yourself to bring uh, your sensibilities and your energies inward, and to make space for your feelings without having to judge them or do anything to them but feel them. And slowing down doesn't mean always just sitting in a meditation position and closing the eyes and in drifting inward. Oftentimes we can and need to slow down in the center of activity, in the midst of a conversation, in a in a in a place of great reactivity when we're reacting. If we're physically moving quickly and our mind is someplace else, there are many opportunities to, to slow down, and many opportunities to listen more deeply and more carefully to what our somatic intelligence is trying to share with us. If you do have that uh, left leg crossed over the right ankle, you can release that and relax that left arm. And then just bring the body back to a straight spine. So walk the heels back, bring the upper body back. And before we go to the left side, you just bring your knees up to your chest. And if you'd like to make the happy baby, you can grab the sides of your feet or your toes or your ankles, and bring the legs out to the side, just pull them down into the hips is nice. You could cross at the ankles and hold on to the sides of the feet and kind of scissor the feet down towards the buttocks and towards the hips is nice. Or just again, pull those knees in and sway a little bit. Good. And let's release that and let's do onto the left side. So the same thing, we'll just walk the heels over first. Trying not to let that right hip roll. And then we'll get the upper body over, trying not to let that right shoulder roll. If you're willing and able, you can put that right ankle over the left ankle on top, right over left, and then bring that right arm up over the head. And not good to let it dangle here. So that's why I suggest the back of the hand find the floor. Doesn't matter where. Let the head find a place where the neck can relax. And one of the benefits then of being able to sit quietly and safely with these opposing energies is that we can then stop chasing what we think is good, what we think is pleasurable, and stop avoiding what we think is bad, what we think is painful. We can just stop that trap, really. And this is a doorway into really exploring the nature of ourself, the nature of ourself as a spacious awareness, as source, really. So we don't need the mind, we don't need really the words and the concepts to explore this. This is something that ultimately is vibrational, but it takes it takes a bit of discipline, and it takes a bit of surrender and quieting and slowing down to be able to see this. So if the mind is busy and the mind is, the dialogue is just churning all the time, okay to start there. We quiet the body, we relax the breath, and we just let the mind quiet. We see thoughts for what they are, just these images that arise and diffuse. Good. So let's come back to a straight spine here, if you will. Again, release the ankles if they're crossed, relax the arm, bring the legs back, and bring the upper body back, and just take a moment to rest here. If you would like to have that movement and bring the knees up to the chest, you could do that again, or you could just rest. And what that really reminds me of is for us to be able to make a distinction. So I'm sure that most of you either have a meditation practice or have, meditated at some point in your life. And essentially, I consider this practice, I call it a somatic meditation. It's a form of meditation using the framework of the body as a foundation. So a very important and interesting distinction to make is that we can bring our awareness when we are meditating, we can bring our awareness to certainly the breath. We can bring our awareness, meditate on the body, this somatic meditation. We can meditate on the arising and the dissolution of the thoughts. Same thing with the feelings. We can meditate and bring our awareness to uh, the feeling sense, the emotional contraction of the heart, and the release of that. Yes. The distinction we also want to make is that we can then bring our meditation, bring our awareness to awareness itself. What is it? What is this awareness that has the capacity to be aware of the mind, the heart, the body, the breath, the world? So very valuable to expand your meditative repertoire, if you will, to allow yourself to see this distinction that the awareness is the primacy. The awareness is essentially what yoga is saying we are. This is our source. This is as close as we can get to who we are. And then we can take that awareness and extend it out into attention, body, heart, mind, world, breath, or we can investigate the nature of awareness itself. This is a gift. This is it's such an incredible gift to allow yourself to sit with this gift of self-awareness. And what's really lovely about it is then, doorway opens to doorway, opens to doorway, opens to doorway, and the awareness of awareness just allows for just tremendous subtlety, and the recognition of the freedom that we are. Not freedom as a thing. Freedom is not a thing. Freedom is who we are. So beautiful. Okay, so come on up, please, if you will. And I'd like to put the legs in a shoelace position, and we're going to open the shoulders a little bit more. If you don't like the shoelace or don't want to do the shoelace, I understand. You could just do a simple square position, put one leg on top of the other, sitting cross-legged. If you prefer, your choice. But for the shoelace position with both legs out, take the left leg and bring it under that right leg and bring it back towards the right hip, but don't sit on that left heel. And then bring the right leg up and over the left leg, and same thing, bring the foot back towards that left hip. Yep, so just a kind of tangling up the legs. This is nice because just sitting here, for most of us, this internal rotation is just lovely for the hips before we do any forward or side movement. And I'm going to time this very carefully with the arm so you don't have the idea we're going to be there forever. Yeah, good. So just stabilize yourself here, either in the shoelace position or, like I said, if you want to go into the square. And then just take a nice deep inhale and bring the arms up over the head, and bring the left arm under the right arm and twist at the elbows. And then if you can bring the palms together or hold on to your thumb or your wrist or something, we'll just do these basic eagle arms. And this is where I'm going to time it. And then from here, just gently, nice and easy, come forward. And I don't mean forward out over that right knee. I more mean down and in. You're really, really pulling into the shoulders here. Not too deep, not too tightly, but just a place you can hover for a bit. It won't be too long. It'll seem like it's too long, but it won't be. So we'll just kind of stay here for a bit. And if you need to or want to, sometimes it's nice to inhale back up out of it. Yeah, and release a bit. Keep the arms tangled up and then exhale back down into it. So if your shoulders really would like this, feel free to do that. Or you could just rest in stillness. And oftentimes when we're feeling, all these points of contracting calling us, whether it's the elbows or the shoulders or the hips, whatever the case is, it's nice to go back to what I was offering earlier, just to breathe into the whole body. You can still feel these specific points, but no need to dwell on them. Good. So let's release that. So release the arms, keep the legs where they are, and just let them float up. Inhale the arms up. And then as they're coming down, just bring them behind you. If you can interlock your fingers, great. If you can't, you may want to hold a towel between the hands and then just straighten the elbows and bring the arms up a bit. Just really open the ribs and the chest. And either, keep the shoulders relaxed and the head still, or if you want to have some upper neck mobility, you can move the head around to the various points of range of motion. Good. So you can release the arms here. And then I'm hoping you have the right leg on top. If that is the case, just gently twist to the left. Yeah, you can put that left hand down and twist into it, and then just come forward and down. So whatever your capacity to twist a bit here and forward bend. And if you do decide to bring your focus to one specific place, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, what can be very interesting and informing is to see that you cannot locate the exact point. So be very interested in that. What you can often do is go into the what you think is the specific point of discomfort, and then just let that open in and deeper into the body. Okay, so let's come on up. I didn't want to stay here too long because we've been sitting here for the shoulder opener. So just come on up and bring your spine straight. Let's just sit here just for a moment before we release the legs. And any discomfort, any tingling, any internal movement, just let's take all of those labels away. Let them just melt and just feel whatever you're feeling as a vibration. You are a vibratory being. And now we'll open those legs out. Let's let the legs open out. Yeah, we'll just have a little, just kind of shake it out a little bit. We're going to go right into the other side. So good. So if you're ready, and again, if you want to do the square pose, then you just put the left leg on top and in front. But if you're going to do the shoelace, we'll take the right leg, put it under the left leg, bring it back towards that left hip. Try not to sit on the heel. Bring the left leg up and over that right leg and bring it back towards the right hip. So we just got the basic structure here, our foundation. So just settle into this for a moment. And then we'll inhale the arms up over the head, and we'll bring the right under the left this time, twisting at the elbows, maybe bringing the palms together, maybe holding on to even the forearm, the wrist, and then take an inhale breath. And on the exhalation, bring those elbows in towards the solar plexus belly area, not over the leg. And just hold this, and the time will be limited. The other thing with these sensations that have the potential to be uncomfortable is we can begin to let the story diffuse from the sensation. So very, very habitual and very typical for us to immediately react with a story around the sensations, particularly when they're not comfortable. It's not necessary. You can allow the story to drift away out of, diffuse from the sensation and just be with the sensation. The story is secondhand. It's not necessary. Sometimes it's necessary. I'm not saying we want to completely eliminate our mental capacity to take notes and to explore, but the stories can add layers to them that they can inhibit the sort of the intuitive guidance. So we want to explore that very carefully. Good. So once again, let's release the arms. Let's inhale the arms up over the head. Yes. And then we will interlock the fingers behind the back, or just bring them back there, or hold a blanket between them. Raise the hands up, keep the elbows straight, and either just maintain that pressure of the arms and keep the head still. We're also welcome to move the head around intuitively and lean into these sensations without stories. Arms start to relax down. Just bring them up a little bit more if you can. Just really feel this opening. Chest, shoulders. And let's release the arms. And once again, we'll just let them float up and relax back down. Now let us then just twist over to the right a bit. I'm hoping if you're in the square, you have your left leg on top. And then we'll come down towards the right here, twisting to the right, going to the right. If you're in the square position, no need to really twist. You could try it. I do it sometimes. It's you could just do the square straightforward if you're in the square. You know, what's interesting too about holding these, superimposed stories on the sensations of our body is that very often they're not even our stories. We're so bombarded by information and other people's stories about what's going on with our own body that the layers that develop before we can really listen to the body that so wants to communicate with us. It can be very challenging. And I'm certainly not saying that we don't want to benefit from listening to external sources, but we want to make sure that we have a very, very close, intimate, and deep relationship with our own sense of ourself, our own body. So the external sources can point in directions that we can explore, but ultimately the only expert about your body is your body. Okay, good. So let's come on up from here. And again, let's just sit with this just for a moment. I like to slow this down sometimes, at least for me, because my hips are so tight at this point that I want to enjoy the release. So I don't want to just sort of untangle, because I think it's important for us to study this relationship between how does the physical energy feel when it's contracted and how does it feel when it's expanding. When we come out of a position like this, we get to explore that. So uh, just be with it right now. This is, for the most part, contracted. And now let's release it and just feel that. Just feel the energy releasing. This is your um, prana moving through the pathways of your body. Good. Ah, yes. So let's lie down and let's take a bit of a rest here. Okay, so come on up. While you were resting, I was rolling up blankets. I'm going to suggest too, if you're feeling very sensitive in your lower back, you may and you could just go with one. I have rolled them up, these two blankets, evenly. You could alter one a little higher than the other, and I'll just explain that for a moment. So I'm going to sit in front of both of these rolls. Yep. If I roll the one closest to me, and they're going crossways, yep, not vertical, but horizontal. If I put them across and I roll the one closest to my lumbar higher than the back one, I'll have more compression in the lumbar and a little more pulling in the upper thoracic. If I make the one further away from me, more towards my mid back, higher, then it's going to compress more in the mid spine and kind of pull a little bit, just a little bit of pulling in the lumbar. I'm choosing to make them even. Once you get there, you could rearrange them if you want. You could try it either way, but I'm either suggesting 2 rolls unless you're feeling super sensitive, injurious. You might want to do 1 roll. I have another blanket. You could also use a pillow for your head if you need it. So what we're going to do then is we're going to sit in front of these 2 rolls, have them nice and snug in. Hopefully you have them rolled up. You could also use the towel as a roll. And then keep the buttocks on the floor. Come back to your forearms first. Yeah, check in. Too high, too low, just right. One higher, one lower, your choice. And then bring the upper body down. I still have my feet flat on the floor. Yes, I definitely want, because of the way my upper spine is holding, this doesn't feel so good in my neck. So I'm going to put something under my head. Ah, yes, better. Buttocks still on the floor. And then the last thing to go is to let the legs relax out. And then you can check in. So I pretty much have uniform, even compression, lower spine right up to my mid thoracic spine. It's just quite lovely. Just the right amount of pressure, compression, stress. And then we'll just relax here. Just a lovely lumbar mid spine opener. So before you start to sink into this too deeply, I would invite you to just take your fingers and just massage your jaw muscle. And open your mouth, close your mouth, but just kind of massage under your eyes a bit. All of the tension that we hold in the jaw, all of the fibers of fascia that are holding this lovely face together. So just kind of rub it a little bit and work those muscles, stretch open the mouth. Don't forget the forehead. Maybe even rub into your throat a bit. And notice how you're feeling into the throat here. And it's a lovely thing to do. And then you can relax the arms whenever you're ready. And the beautiful thing about bringing your meditation to awareness, to being aware of your awareness, being aware of the purity and the spaciousness and the consciousness of awareness, is that you then are able to observe from that place and observe that these thoughts that sometimes we get so close to and convince us that they are who we are, our identity, are really not. We can just watch them come and go. The same thing with the fabric of the body. We can be aware of the body, but we can have this incredible distance from the body. Same thing with our feelings. We can have the complexity and the emotional uh, tone of our heart, but again, that comes and goes. So the meditation on awareness allows us to relax into the our true identity, if you will, our true sense of beingness. And then we just get to enjoy. We get to enjoy the body, the mind, the heart, the world. Hopefully it can become a celebration to us and entertaining to us, but it doesn't have to be this density of identity. It's something we have to cling to because we have um, the connection to, we have the relationship with this awareness. And this is where our primary meditation happens. This is where our primary exploration happens. And this is freedom. And the freer you become, the subtler you become. So whatever it is, more subtle, more subtle, more free, more subtle. So I'd like you to begin to breathe very gently and bring your awareness to the transitions on both ends of the breath and see if you can make them seamless. So it turns into one circular breath. The inhale, you just inhale till it seamlessly changes into the exhale, and you just exhale and seamlessly does it change into the inhale. So the subtlety, the sensitivity is on the transitions, and the feeling is that it's very circular. There's no break in the breath, there's no division between inhale and exhale. It's just one breath. And this takes incredible subtlety and relaxation and softening and gentleness. So see if you can breathe a few rhythms like this. once you're feeling the breath at this subtle level, you're feeling any kind of density, you can bring the breath to that density and let it diffuse. And again, this is that overlay between physicality and breathing. But the breath has a lovely capacity to just envelop and penetrate and allow density to diffuse. And if you would like to weave some imagery into these pathways, these nadis, these chronic flows as you're breathing, I am fluid and supple. I am relaxed and centered. I am healthy and strong. I am youthful and eternal. So if you're ready to start to shift out of this, you can put your feet flat on the floor. And you can start to move your knees side to side a bit. Another nice way to exit this is to just elevate the hips and bring the pelvis up onto the rolls, releasing the lumbar mid-spine area and just kind of softening there for a bit, and then maybe just swaying the hips side to side. So just move very slowly, come out of it with some grace and safety. And then find your way into Shavasana or anything else that you think you need at this time. We will take a few moments to close our practice. And let us come into silence. Let us come into gratitude. Let us come into presence. And namaste.